Hi everyone, Donut here. I know this isn't the usual place that I do my videos. I'm doing a little vacation right now. But this video is going to be the condensed version of that stream I did the other week where I talked about Uvalde, where the Texas State Police Director broke down everything as it happened. This is just going to be that video without all the fluff and everything, so go straight through the facts. Because YouTube is not really liking my videos lately, there's going to be a sponsor for this video. Thank you, Canadips. Canadips are little CBD pouches, and they actually help me to stop dipping for real, which is not healthy, and the Canadips pouches help me quit that completely. They're now offering 50% off of their brand new Cali Hills pack if you use the code OPERATOR. For 35 bucks, you get a camo embroidered hat as well as 5 cans of their famous CBD dip that is tobacco and nicotine free. The Hills pack allows you to get one of every core flavor: mint, wintergreen, citrus, mango, or spice, or get 5 cans of your favorite. I'm more of a mint person, so I'll probably just get 5 cans of mint. Canadip CBD is pretty amazing. Like I said, it got me to quit dipping, so go over to canadipcbd.com/donut to get 50% off. So it's $35 for the Cali Hills pack. That's 5 cans and a hat. Check them out today.
Hi everyone, Donut here. We're gonna talk about some of this Uvalde stuff that was released today, because a whole lot was released. And like I said in my first Uvalde video, I'd like to wait for more information to come out to make a video about it. But they're doing the live Senate hearing right now, and I think it'd be kind of neat to sit here together and go over some of the new stuff. They're 9 hours into it, but we're gonna start at the part where the director of the Texas State Police comes on and starts talking about his investigation, and he's pissed. He's not happy with Uvalde cops and this whole thing. And I don't think anybody is right now. I'm not. And he has a breakdown of exactly what happened. We're going to break it down together. What made me want to do this is this picture came out today. And that was apparently 19 minutes after the shooting started, but they didn't take the guy out until 50 minutes in. I got my high-tech crime recreation software out to do this because I want to go. I kind of want to take notes myself, and the best way to do that, I think, is visually with this high-tech software that I got from the FBI and the CIA. All the alphabet boys pitching to get this for me. Let's get started on what the director for the Texas State Police, how his investigation is going.
Chairman, Senators,
this is the guy I was
Stephen
talking
McCraw,
about.
Director of Texas Department of Public Safety. It's been 28 days since the senseless massacre of 19 innocent children and their 2 teachers at Robb Elementary School. Much has been done, but much more needs to be done before this investigation is completed. However, we do know this. There's compelling evidence that the law enforcement response to the attack at Robb Elementary was an abject failure and antithetical to everything we've learned over the last 2 decades since the Columbine massacre.
Jesus Christ, that's how he's starting it off, calling it an abject failure. Whoo! This is gonna be spicy.
3 minutes after the subject entered the West Building, there was a sufficient number of armed officers wearing body armor to isolate, distract, and neutralize the subject.
God damn, 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
The only thing stopping a hallway of dedicated officers from entering room 111 and 112 was the on-scene commander, who decided to place the lives of officers before the lives of children.
God damn. I told you he was mad.
The officers had weapons. The children had none. The officers had body armor. The children had none. The officers had training. The subject had none. 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 8 seconds. That's how long the children waited and the teachers waited in rooms 111 to be rescued.
1 hour, 14 minutes, dude. Okay, cops on scene in 3 minutes. You guys can't read my chicken scratch, but it's okay.
And while they waited, the on-scene commander waited for a radio and rifles. Then he waited for shields.
The on-scene commander didn't... Was the on-scene commander the chief? I can't remember his name. Was... Because they said... I read something earlier today that said he showed up without a radio. He was, like, calling the 911 center. Their on-scene commander didn't have a fucking radio. He's a police officer without a radio.
Then he waited for SWAT. Lastly, he waited for a key that was never needed. The post-Columbine doctrine is clear and compelling and unambiguous. Stop the killing, stop the dying. You can't do the former unless you can't do the latter unless you do the former.
Oh man. So the way that they taught us in active shooter training, especially on SWAT, is even if you're the first cop on scene and you have no backup, you go in. Yeah. Now, like even if you're outgunned, as the first cop on scene was, I think the first cop on scene was the chief. You do what you can or die trying.
And the red on your chart is the direction that the subject is moving. As he moves into this area, as he moves along this area, he gets into this area right here. He begins shooting, okay? As he's been shooting into the classrooms is what he's doing. In fact, he shot 27 times as he walked along here.
Okay, so he was walking and
Dropped
shooting.
the backpack here. 2 classrooms.
Okay, so he
but
fired
2
some
he shot
shots
into.
from
There's
outside.
2 windows on each. He was firing into those classrooms. He proceeded to the west building, or the west entrance of the building, what we're calling the west. We're calling this east, and this is the south entrance. He proceeded in there. He opened the door. It was open. It was unlocked.
So there we go. There's something that like was being thrown around the days, a couple days after this happened. It was like the door was propped open or the door was locked. It was broke, but he straight up said it was unlocked. He just strolled right in.
Reports before about a teacher putting a rock in it. That's a practice around the school, practice in many schools. Yes, that did happen, but that same teacher also removed the rock. It was the same teacher that called 911 and reported a man with a gun outside the school and the crash. So he also called the alarm, and the school goes into a lockdown, active shooter. And they get the kids, and I won't go through the protocols. He turns left, then he approaches, and you can't tell from the video. The challenge with the school video is it's a fisheye video located at this location.
I wonder if that's where this picture is, where he's pointing right now. That one. Yeah, I bet that's it. Apparently these guys were here 19 minutes after it started.
Overall, there was 24 rounds that were recovered out here, 27 in the hallway.
So I guess he didn't
Now,
he didn't hit anyone from the outside, right? Because the only people that he killed was in 111 and 112, which is a connected classroom. They didn't mention anything about down here.
He opened the door and walked in. Okay, then we heard shooting. As the timeline suggests, and through audio enhancement, we can hear how many shots were fired. Initial barrage of firing occurred within 100 rounds occurred within the next couple of minutes.
So most of the deaths, from what it sounds like, occurred right when he got there and fired over 100 rounds right when he walked in the room.
You can go up on the timeline here. I'll tell you at 11:36, as we mentioned before, you had 3 Uvalde PD officers into the west door.
3 minutes. So 3 minutes, Uvalde officers walked in the same exact door as the shooter, because they said he tried to go through the south door, fired 23 shots from outside into some of the other classrooms. I think that's what they didn't hit anything, because they found 23 shell casings outside. They haven't mentioned anyone getting hurt from that. And then he went through the west door at 11:33, and the cops were there at 11:36.
11:35, 11:36, 2 Uvalde PD officers. We had 7 officers right now in the building at 11:36.
What the fuck? 7 officers in there 3 minutes later. That's
pretty quick time.
What a shit show.
Considering all the different factors in that regard. There was never a school resource officer on the scene. A school resource officer did respond. So he's off campus, he's in his vehicle, he responds rapidly. As he does, he sees what he thinks when he drives in, he sees what he thinks is the subject back here. It wasn't the subject, it was a teacher. He drives directly towards that subject, the teacher.
Why was he not on campus?
And says, I'm out with the subject. So it had already been reported on the radio, man with a gun, okay, at the school, after a crash. He thinks he's got the subject. He drives quickly. He drove, over 50 miles an hour into it, going towards the subject. And unfortunately, that wasn't the subject. The subject was right here. He passed the subject as he went. So that's why some of the confusion early on.
He was hiding? There wasn't someone I saw earlier, they were talking about, like, some of the initial reports is that the suspect was ducked down behind some cars, but he just pointed at the field behind the school, not some cars. So, like, where was he hiding at for him to drive right by the fucking guy?
11:40, we have Chief. So the first report, officers contained in the office. Contained is not a word for active shooter. Contained is a barricaded subject. Contained is a situation where you may have a hostage, you need a SWAT team. Okay, you have time.
Yeah, and he's explaining, I did a video on this not too long ago. My first Uvalde video that I did, it was a active shooter breakdown, and some police officers responded to an active shooter situation just like fucking chef's kiss. Perfect. And the difference between a barricaded shooter and, you know, he's kind of explaining it here, but barricaded suspect means that they might have a hostage, or it's just like one person in there. They're not actively shooting people, hence the term active shooter. Active shooter training is much different. You just rush them, even if it's one cop, like I said at the first of this.
The C's, you know, first you contain, then you communicate with the subject, then you call for SWAT, then you
like
create an immediate
hostage
action
situation.
plan.
This was
That's
not
what this was. This was never anything more than an active shooter situation. Then we have Chief Ariano calls Uvalde PD. It has been reported he did not have a radio with him.
What a fuck up, dude. The chief was one of the first people on scene. He didn't have a radio. One of the most important things you could have as a police officer.
And this is the conversation that he had, and you can read it yourself in your notes. But all this for purposes of this. Chief Ariano, hey, it's Ariano. Can you hear me? I'd like to tell you where we're at. It's an emergency right now. I'm inside the building. Where this man has an AR-15. He shot a whole bunch of times. We're inside the building. He's in one room. I need a lot of firepower, so I need this building surrounded.
He was saying over on the phone, hey, there's a guy here with an AR-15. There are a bunch of shots being fired. So the chief just fucking admitted when he got there, the first call that he made, there's an active shooter. That's what he was actively shooting. The chief even said, there's someone here with an AR-15. There's a bunch of shots fired. Like, oh.
Chief,
sorry, it's hard to hear.
Teacher with him in his classroom. Dispatcher. She's in another classroom. She's in room 102. Another person possible shot across from her. It wasn't in 102. It was 112. Is the accurate number.
Oh fuck, man! You see that? Oh, the dispatcher said there's shots being fired in 102. Someone's shot, but they were on the phone with someone who was in 112 where the shooter actually was. The dispatcher relayed the wrong number back to the chief. We're finding out a whole bunch about what really happened.
Chief Ariano, yes, they need to be outside the building and prepared because we don't have enough firepower. Right now, it's all pistols, and he has an AR-15. You can get the SWAT team set up by the funeral home, okay? And we need, yes, I need...
Okay, so the chief is saying we need to get the SWAT team set up. We have pistols. He has a rifle. That doesn't fucking matter. This dude sounds like straight admin. Like, it doesn't matter. You go and you get the active shooter. Even if you get shot, you go and you get the active shooter, especially if there's 7 people there. But the chief was telling everyone not to go in. And I mean, the school has windows. You totally could have coordinated some kind of flank or something. Jesus Christ, man. God. Pistol should have been enough, and 9 will blow your lungs out, right? Someone in chat just said, you know, if you're the chief and you're the commander on scene and there's 6 other cops there, I don't know if they're counting the chief. If there's at least 6 other cops there, why didn't you just commandeer a radio, you know? Yeah, why didn't you just take a radio? Hey, I'm on scene, commander. Give me that shit. Okay, yes, sir. He mentioned something about an officer being scared to shoot a student from outside, but there's some way they could have flanked him. They could have triangulated some kind of, you know, some kind of firing lines to get him. That's what they told us in like SWAT school and all the active shooter training. Goddamn. Training that I've ever done is a flawed plan executed violently against an active shooter immediately beats a perfect plan executed 10 minutes later every time.
There had been a call earlier for BORTAC, and BORTAC was en route. At 11:52, there's a first ballistic.
So remember, it was first reported that the BORTAC guys went in there and killed him. But this entire time, you've had police officers, 7 police officers sitting in there before BORTAC even got there. So 11:51, some Border Patrol agents went in, but it wasn't quite BORTAC yet, which BORTAC is the Border Patrol. The Border Patrol SWAT team, basically. They're almost like SF dudes. I was reading some report earlier where it was saying like BORTAC dudes even deploy sometimes and have been in Iraq and Afghanistan and shit. Like the dudes they're highly trained.
These aren't BORTAC agents that first responded.
Okay.
At 11:52, there's a first ballistic shield that enters the west door.
Okay, so now we're getting shields in there, but the shooter should already be dead.
11:52 later, UPD officer.
Just to remind everyone, the shooter was in there at 11:33. It's 11:52 now, and they're still just holding the hallway while they're hearing shots being fired.
Units just showing up. Can you help with crowd control? So officers after 11:52 are being diverted to crowd control activities. 11:53 unknown.
So they're pulling officers off that could go kill an active shooter to go hold the parents back. That's where that whole shit and that whole video came out. This is important because this is where the cops are talking to each other about, like, we need to go do this shit.
Being diverted to crowd control activities. 11:53 unknown officer informs a DPS special agent that they need right now is a perimeter. Someone comments on whether there are still kids inside, to which the DPS special agent responds, if there is, then they just need to go in.
There you go. You got somebody saying, hey, we need to fucking actually do active shooter shit. My real question is, SCP donated $10 super chat. It says, my real question is, what stopped men from trying to save children being slaughtered? They keep saying the chief said, no, hold on, no, hold on, no, hold on. He was the scene commander, but that's one of those orders that you just got to say, go fuck yourself. I'm still hearing shots in there. And at around the same time, I don't know if the director, I don't think he's pressed on it yet. At around the same time, you have 2 or 3 kids inside the classroom who were calling 911 saying they were being shot. Like, it's such a clusterfuck of communication. Like, no one's talking to anyone. And the chief doesn't have a radio the whole time.
The DPS officer, said, "Is there kids in there? We need to go in right now." Then he said, "What's that?" Then whoever's in charge will determine that, because of what he recommended, if there's kids in there, we need to go get them. And then later on, the DPS agent, he left the scene to look for kids, found a young boy in the restroom in the West building that was hiding, and then went outside to search other classrooms.
So the DPS agent wanted to go in, and the chief kept telling him no, so he was like, well, fuck this, I'm going to go try and get, some more kids out of here.
There's a 911 call at 12:03, and that's the call from Chloe, the first time Chloe calls. And, of course, it's heart-wrenching to listen to her.
The little girl inside the classroom.
She's in room 112, okay? She was actually the only child in room 12 that was uninjured. Okay, there was 8 children killed, 2 teachers killed in that room. And, of course, she was uninjured. 9 children were injured in room 112.
Okay, so you have 9 children injured and dying right now, which it was 19 total. There's still another 10 that are still alive, including the girl on the phone right now whose transcript we're about to hear.
3. The second ballistic shield enters the west door.
All right, so we're at 12:03. We have 2 ballistic shields. The shooter entered at 11:33, and the police were there at 11:36. 7 police were there at 11:36, including the on-scene commander, which they're saying is the chief, who didn't have a radio.
12:04. The third ballistic shield enters the west door, and yet there's no action. And I think the first BORTAC unit members went into the building at 12:15. During that time, the Uvalde ISD Ariano requests master key. Uvalde ISD Chief Ariano gives instructions to officers to have a sniper on the east roof. 12:16, USD Chief says, I just need a key. The chief says, tell them to expletive wait. No one comes in.
Why is he keeping people outside of there, especially law enforcement people? And he's sitting there saying, I need a key. I think he talks about later. What I read today is that the door wasn't even fucking locked. Like, no one even checked the door, which, I mean, it's kind of hard to check the door if someone's firing out of it with an AR. But again, this comes in a question like why they didn't triangulate some shooting lanes and flank the guy. There were 2 windows in each classroom, and then you had the officers outside the door. So
12:20, the fourth ballistic shield shows up. At 12:21, importantly, the suspect fires 4 rounds. So if this is a barricaded subject, why is he still firing?
Yeah, there we go. There's another one. The chief has him held back because he says it's a barricaded suspect, but the fucking dude's been shooting this entire time.
Up. At 12:21, importantly, the suspect fires 4 rounds.
12:21. We're almost an hour into this now.
Barricaded subject. Why is he still firing?
Yeah,
oh, thank you. The chief. Do we have a team ready to go? Do we have a team ready to go?
You're the team. You're in the fucking hallway. You've been there for an hour. Don't ask if you have a team ready to go. There's got to be There's got to be probably like 20 cops in that hallway by now, because there were 7 within 3 minutes, and you have multiple jurisdictions who are coming. And do you have a team ready to go? Are you fucking kidding me? And all his cops are standing there telling him, like, we gotta do this. There's people in there dying. And the chief's like, no, we need a team. We need a sniper.
12:33. The chief. I say we breach through those windows and shoot his expletive head off through the windows.
Oh, you just came up with that an hour later at 12:33, an hour after you started shooting. Wait, there's windows here. Why don't we shoot them through the windows? An hour. A police chief came up with that brilliant fucking plan an hour after the guy opened fire on these kids. You fucking tard, dude. It just gets worse and worse. This, god dang.
This is an hour and a half, an hour after you entered the building. An hour after you entered the building.
Even worse, an hour and a half.
A hooligan tool arrives through the west door.
Hooligan.
At 12:38, the chief attempts to communicate with the suspect in English and Spanish. At 12:41, the chief says, just so you understand, we think there are some injuries in there. And so you know what we did, we cleared off the rest of the building so we wouldn't have any more besides what's already in there, obviously. 11:42, the chief says.
That's how he tries to negotiate with the suspect, by saying, we cleared everyone out. You're not going to kill more than what's in there. Oh, is that gonna make him keep killing more kids, or is that gonna make him stop? What a fucking stupid thing to say. Are you serious? Well, that's all you got, bro. That's all you got in there. What a fucking idiot, dude.
12:46, the chief says, if y'all ready to do it, you do it. But you should distract him out that window. 11:47.
Oh, so over an hour and a half later, the chief is finally gonna like move and maybe go to the window, one of the two windows that looks into the classroom while the guy's fire is focused on the outside. That's a great plan, Chief. I'm sorry it took you an hour and 45 minutes to come up with that, idiot.
The sledgehammer enters from the east hallway. 11:50, the breach and termination gunfire. At the time, there was a stack of 7 officers that went in. Actually, only 4 went directly in because the door closed, as will happen in some of these operations, and left the 3 out. 3 entered thereafter, shortly thereafter. 5 officers fired rounds at the subject, killing the subject at that time.
So there were 7 officers on scene, right? Initially, 3 minutes after he opened fire, there were 7 officers on scene, but it took 5 officers just to run in there, breach the door, and fucking kill the guy. And I bet that there was some truth to what we were talking about, or what was told to us about the Bortak guys showing up and being like, fuck this. That sounds like Bortak showed up and, they're cartel killers and they just handled business. Randolph did a $5 super chat and asked a good question. He said, is there a point the chief could be liable for criminal negligence due to this large of a failure to respond? Maybe. I was a beat copping on the SWAT team. I was never an attorney, so I don't know how this would be handled. Especially with the multi-agencies that are in on it and all the investigations. Because even the director here of the Texas State Police was saying earlier, we're not done with our investigation, but we can give you a solid timeline on what happened. And that's what this hearing started out with. And it's been going on. I don't know. It's still live. It's still live now. It's been going on for like 10 hours. Dave says, Donut, do you think the lack of action by the chief has anything to do with the fear that some officers have of getting charged with murder for doing their job? I don't think so. Not in this case where it's an active shooter in an elementary school. I mean, I know that happens a lot now, that cops are afraid to do their jobs because they might get charged with murder for shooting someone, even if that person sometimes has a gun or a knife or a pipe or something. But this is not one of those situations. This is where they should have just rushed him. Chief was there within 3 minutes, dude.
He came straight through the door with no problem.
It was unlocked. He walked straight through it.
So did y'all check the lock later to see if the lock was malfunctioning, or was it working?
Yes, the locks were working fine, and that on the exterior doors, the locks were working fine.
What?
Now I can tell you, looking at the picture here, you don't need a key to get into this building. It could have been locked. This glass doesn't have mesh on it. All you have to do is shoot through this glass. Okay, reach in. There's a bar. Well, here's a bar. Pull that, and you're in. Now, the subject would have known that. Someone did not lock that door.
Okay.
And similarly, the south door, which I described officers going in early on, that door was unlocked as well.
Shit,
Second
dude.
thing, okay, you may have just said what I was fixing to ask.
So the whole school was just open. It was a soft target all the way around. The school resource officer wasn't even there. The doors were unlocked on both ends of the hall.
And here's the door. You cannot lock this door from the inside of the classroom.
Oh, geez, dude.
There's nothing the teacher could do to lock the door inside the classroom.
Just soft target all around. The teachers couldn't even lock the doors. Child's cell phone was able to get a signal, but an officer's emergency radio couldn't reach what needed. Time to upgrade immediately. Yeah, for real, Chris. They need to upgrade everything. This is a perfect storm of shit that got these kids killed. All right, here's the deal, guys. I gotta go pack. That was ridiculous, though, man. We did what we did, an hour and a half of it. We can go back and do some more of it later, but I really gotta go. I haven't even packed. I gotta go. The flight is at 5 in the morning, so we finally got Jeeves on the dog cam. Hawkeye, love y'all. Everyone, please have a fantastic day. Bye.